Hello and welcome. One of our favourite shows at Disneyland is the incredible Fantasmic. Located in Adventureland, the show takes place at the bottom end of the Tom Sawyer Island and along the rivers of America. Viewing is from the banks of the river, looking out over the island, which gives a fairly small viewing area to see the show. This means you really need to get there early or get a pretty poor view from the back, the sides or the back of the sides. One way to avoid this is by booking a Fantasmic Dining Package. There are two types, the regular package or the premium. This video takes you through what you get with the premium package, only available at the Riverbelle Terrace. This will help you decide if the rather high cost of the premium package is worth it for your trip. But be warned, this might be the most disappointing experience we have had at Disney to date. For the standard dining packages, you do not get to see the show from your restaurant area. Instead, you dine at a specified time before the show, then get access to a premium viewing area just before the show starts. This does not guarantee you a good view. You will need to get to the viewing area right as the viewing area entry opens to secure that, but you will get guaranteed access to a viewing area. Not something those without a dining package reservation get, as once the viewing areas are full, you will be moved along. The dining package viewing areas are also front and centre, but if you arrive late, you can still be at the back of said viewing area. There are several participating restaurants. Currently these are the Riverbelle Terrace, costing $64 per person for brunch or dinner, the Rancho del Socola Restaurante, costing $34 per person, or Cafe Orleans, costing $64. Our favourite of these is the Rancho del Socola. Here you get an entree, side and fountain drink, and the food is really good, with a Mexican menu. The meal costs a little more as a package than you would pay just buying the items separately, as do the other packages, but it's faster service, great tasting, and half the price for pretty much the same experience. But you are paying a little more to guarantee access to that viewing area. To avoid all the fuss and hassle of queuing and waiting around for the show, Disney offers the Premium Dining Package. This package allows you to dine at Riverbelle's outdoor terrace, overlooking the show area, and then watch the performance immediately afterwards from the comfort of your seat. You get a specialty menu, VIP service, and an elevated view above all the masses to watch the show in comfort. It seems like a no-brainer. However, there are a couple of big drawbacks. First, the $94 per person price. That is minus tax and tip, so can be upwards of $120 per person, and this only includes soft drinks, so if you want a cocktail or beer or wine, that's extra again. It's an expensive meal. Secondly, this is a very sought-after package, and there is very limited availability, and only a handful of tables line the terrace. To snag a spot, you are going to have to be organised. We have a full guide on bagging hard-to-get reservations in the link above or in the description, but you are going to have to be fast. The reservations open at 6 AM Pacific Standard Time, 60 days out from the day you want to book. They will be gone in a matter of seconds. But the high cost and stress of bagging a reservation is supposed to be offset by the convenience, amazing cuisine, VIP experience, and the fantastic view of the show. However, our experience was a little off from this billing. Let's just preface this by saying we love Disney. We know the food is not always the greatest, but we generally love most dining experience we have had at Disney. The Blue Bayou, Cafe Circle, and the Napa Rose are all a little overpriced, but the food is way above average and the overall experience is worthwhile. We have never really felt ripped off by a Disney dining experience. Until today. Even other dining packages have always felt worthwhile, if a little overpriced. So to find this one so oversold left us pretty shocked. Let's start at the beginning, where things were pretty bad, and just see how far downhill it goes. Checking in went quite smoothly once a real person had showed up. We were told to arrive an hour before the experience to get checked in, but for 30 plus minutes there was no sign of anyone looking to check us in or any kind of queue or entry system. We were not even 100% sure we were in the right place. Eventually we were checked in and then we were left for another 30 minutes waiting to be seated. The seating system was diabolical. Despite being first to check in, we were dead last to be seated. There was no order or method to the seating, and it was bad luck we were last, but why not seat in the order of check-in, like just about every other restaurant in the world? It made us feel very unspecial. The next huge issue is the table layout. There are only 6 or 7 tables that actually have a view. The rest, including ours, have a view of the tables that have a view. Ours was second row, but there were others behind us with a view of the tables that have a view of the tables that have a view. It's not exactly premium. You also have to remain seated, so you can't even get up for a better view during the show. All tables are pre-assigned. You even get your own personalised sign, which is a nice touch, but it means if you have been lumped with a table at the back, there is no way to change this. The tables are also really crammed in to get the maximum amount of guests onto the terrace, but there is hardly any room between the tables, and with everyone sitting in a way to ensure a good view, it is really tight. The table next to us had a guest with accessibility needs and needed just a touch more space than usual, and this was basically impossible. We all needed to pitch in and move the tables and seating around to squeeze the guest in, all while the staff just stood and watched. This is really not okay for a park and restaurant that claims to be accessible to all, and God forbid you need the restroom, as these are located outside the restaurant right over at the other end of Adventureland in the main area of the park. $94 and you can't even take a leak. But this is all okay because the food is amazing, right? Well, no. Again, let's preface, we are barbecue fans. Wherever we go on our trips, we hunt out the best barbecue we can find, so we know what barbecue is meant to taste like. And this ain't it. It started well, with a huge basket of amazing biscuits. These were stunning. They were so short, they hardly held together and were warm, buttery and delicious. The portion was huge, and quite simply, if the meal had ended there, we would have been happy and pretty full. Instead, we had to leave most of them, as there were 3 courses coming up. The starters were just okay. The chicken pot pie soup was just pie filling with crumbled biscuit on top. Average. The meatballs were okay. These were vegan meat-free balls, which meant they were so-so, but not too bad. But the sauce they came with was just a bit odd. It's hard to describe. It was sweet, salty, with an odd little taste, and not really like anything we had tried before. We suppose new is good, even if it's not something we would hunt out again. For content purposes, we always try and order different choices to help show you guys more of what's on offer, but when a barbecue meat platter is on offer as the entree, neither of us was willing to back down and order anything else. So 2 barbecue platters coming up, and these were real winners. Unfortunately, the category they won in was the worst barbecue we have ever eaten award. The brisket was dry as a bone and tasteless, not smoked. The pork burnt ends were not, they were simply rendered pieces of pork fat and tasted basically of nothing. The chicken was okay, but nothing to get excited about, and even the mash tasted of packet mash. Okay, the biscuit was nice, but we were already stuffed to the gills with biscuits from the starter and pre-dinner basket. Overall, it was the worst food we have eaten at Disney, along with being some of the most expensive. Dessert did go some way to make up for it, but by now our appetites were ruined and nothing could redeem the meal. But the specialty sundae was really good, and Kate's red velvet cake was excellent, but it was just too heavy after all the food. Next time, just give us the biscuits and the dessert. After a disappointing and expensive meal, we hunkered down to watch the show. After all, this is what we came for. Fantasmic is fantastic, and we don't want to bring a downer on the incredible Fantasmic performance. Despite losing the fire-breathing dragon recently to, ironically, a fire, it's not so great when you have to watch from a distance around several people's heads, knowing that you spent $94 per person for this view. There were a few moments where the more zoomed-out perspective helped, like when Captain Cook's sailing ship Columbia looms into view, but overall it's just pretty disappointing. It would have been better for one of the limited rail seats, but still there was a lot of other people and furniture in the way, including a big tree, and there was something about the angle that meant you could not really make out the water projection images at all, so lots of the show was just colourful water fountains. Overall, it was the least enjoyable performance of Fantasmic that we have ever seen. When the show finally ended, we were able to remain in our seats and watch the castle fireworks. Sort of. Yes, we got a view of the fireworks, but it felt quite distant and was behind some pretty thick trees. See for yourself. Having seen the fireworks show last night, we were okay with that. But had this been our only viewing opportunity, it would have been sickening. There was very little option either. All the viewing areas at the fireworks would have been filled, so had we left the terrace, we would not have been able to stop and view the fireworks. We might have made it over to Galaxy's Edge to view the fireworks there, but we would have missed the opening for sure. Overall, this is a very poor choice if viewing the castle fireworks show is high on your list. That's not what the Terrace Premium Package is for, but we do hear it suggested often, and the staff even confirmed that this was the best option once we were on the terrace. Overall, this was just a bitterly disappointing experience from start to finish. There were just a few highlights such as the personalised name card, excellent biscuits and great dessert, but everything else was a negative. The free viewing areas would have provided a far better view and would have cost us less time as we arrived at 6:15 for the first show at 9:05. If we had gone to one of the free viewing areas at 7:30, we would have bagged front row, or with a standard package, only half an hour would have got us a far better viewing area than this, for as little as $34, including a much better meal at Ranchos. Really, we can think of almost no reason to recommend this experience. Maybe if you have a huge issue with standing around for an hour or more, then the option to be seated throughout might be a plus, but there has to be a better workaround than dropping $100 per person for extremely disappointing food and a terrible view. So avoid this like the plague. The money money is so much better spent on just about anything else. If we had paid $20 for this food out in the real world, we would have been demanding a refund. The entree really was that bad, and we are not being snobs. We have never complained about Disney food and will happily eat at every level of food establishment, from fine dining to hole-in-the-wall, grubby Vegas buffet to economy airline food. We are really not overly fussy, but dried out, flavourless brisket for $94 is where we get a little angsty. We were so disappointed with this experience, we went and cancelled our dining package reservations for the World of Colour the very next day. We always strive for maximum honesty, and when something is bad, we call it out. And hopefully this review can save you guys some considerable money and, far more importantly, some really valuable park time. If so, please like and subscribe to the channel as we have loads more on our menu coming up. And if you have anything to say about the Fantasmic Premium Dining experience, good or bad, that is what the comments are for. Looking forward to hearing from you. See you in the next video.